Hello everyone, today is 17th of August, now it's about 10 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms, and there are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment. And I will start with breaking news for this moment, at least in Russian media outlets, because I'm quite sure Western so-called media, not gonna pay any attention to this topic at all. But Russian media is reporting, in this particular case RT, that Ukraine is preparing dirty nuke attack on Russia. So Ukrainian forces have begun preparations to target nuclear waste storage site at the Russian power plant with radioactive warheads, and to then blame Moscow, according to intelligence received by Russia. Kiev's forces have already struck the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, Europe's largest, and started the fire at one of the cooling towers, while accusing Russia of bombing itself. You remember this, isn't it? A couple of days ago, Kiev regime targeted with the drones this cooling tower of the ZMPP. A fire broke up there, and after that, after video starts spreading worldwide of fire on that tower, Kiev regime and the Western propaganda outlets come up with a story that Russian side is burning tires inside this tower, and that's why fire broke. And if Kiev regime has nothing to do with it, Moscow allowed the experts of IAEA twice inspect that tower since that fire. And what you think, what IAEA experts would say if there was any burning tires there? Especially if you take in account that IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, formerly being body of the UN, in reality is controlled by Western ruling class. Would they hide if they see any tires there? Of course not. Unfortunately, IAEA and its head, Rafael Grossi, never ever pointed out of terrorist activity of the Kiev regime, even though they know perfectly well that the plant is controlled by Russian side, and these constant attacks on Energodar city and Zaporozhye nuclear power plant conducted by Ukrainian terrorists. Anyways, let's continue this news. Sources on their other side report that the Ukrainians are preparing a nuclear false flag, an explosion of the dirty atomic bomb. Military journalist Marat Khayrulin said Friday on his Telegram channel. If I'm not mistaken, Marat Khayrulin is RT's journalist, but I may mistaking him for some other journalist. But anyways, Marat Khayrulin reported that Turkey regime is planning this false flag operation with the deployment of dirty atomic bomb. They plan to strike the storage sites of the spent nuclear fuel of the nuclear power plant. Their special warheads intended for the attack have already been delivered to Vostochny mining and processing plant in Zhovty Vody in Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk region, according to Khayrulin. As possible targets of the attack, Khayrulin indicated either the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant in Energodar or the Kursk nuclear power plant in Kurchatov cities, noting that the Ukrainian government and its Western backers are desperate and willing to try anything. And who will disagree with Khayrulin? Definitely Kiev regime and its Western backers are desperate, especially if you take in account that the Western ruling class was unable to defeat Russia politically and isolate Russia. 80% of humanity stands with Russia, because people worldwide know perfectly well that Russia is on the right side of history, and the collective Western ruling class is an evil force and are on the wrong side of history. That's why majority of people on this planet support us. Western ruling class was unable to destroy Russian economy with this sanction wars. Exactly opposite is happening in reality, and the major economies in the G7 countries are struggling now. And it is factual, isn't it? Economies of Germany, France, UK are on the brink of recession, or maybe are in recession, although local governments are manipulating with the data to to hide this information. In any case, economical growth in the major European economies are almost next to none. Western ruling class failed to defeat Russia militarily, despite spending over $300 billion on this proxy war against Russia and sacrificing Ukraine as a state and millions of Ukrainians, hundreds of thousands of which are already being killed on the battlefield, and there are millions and millions, of course, become refugee and are spread worldwide, including in Russia, by the way. There are some 3 to 4 million Ukrainian refugees, at least that's the number that I remember being reported in the media. So, because Western ruling class was unable to defeat Russia in any way, politically, economically, militarily, they are now escalating with their in different direction. They are now escalating with Russia by conducting terrorist attacks, during this process all the terrorist organizations that Western secret services created, including ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And of course, Western ruling class is using their proxy, Ukraine, to conduct terrorist attacks on Russia also. And therefore, I'm not at all surprised to hear the information that Kyiv regime is formally Kyiv regime, in reality Western ruling class. NATO is planning a nuclear attack on Russia with a dirty bomb. Question is now how Russia will respond on this threat, and threat is absolutely real, I believe, because just a couple of days ago I reported about statements of head of Russia's radioactive, biological and chemical defense forces, who basically confirmed information that Kyiv regime has acquired nuclear bomb or dirty bomb. And information also shared with public that a US military industrial complex was actively involved in deliveries to Kyiv regime certain substances, poisonous substances that other NATO member states have no industry to create. So there is a link, direct link between, in my interpretation of the statements of the Russian high-ranking military official, direct link between the US military industrial complex, US secret services, therefore, and the Kyiv regime, and possible dirty bomb attack on Russia. Let's see how Moscow will respond on these threats. But situation is, I mean, as serious as it can get, because we are talking about nuclear attacks on Russia. Of course, if any additional information on this topic, I will share it on my Telegram and in next updates. And RIA Novosti also reported, by the way, as I said, almost all media outlets that I see reported on this threat of nuclear attack on Russia. And RIA Novosti, based on its sources, reporting that potential areas of this dirty bomb attacks of Kyiv regime can be Zaporozhye nuclear power plant and Kursk nuclear power plant. According to some sources, Kyiv regime then plans to blame Russia, as if Russia conducted these attacks to justify deployment of nuclear weapons. Although this propaganda will not fly, because according to Russian military doctrine and Russian nuclear doctrine, Moscow already has every reason and every legal means to use any means necessary to secure Russia, to secure Russia's strategical objects, and first of all secure Russian citizens. After all, Russia is under invasion right now, currently. Russian territory, undisputed Russian territory, by the way. Russian territory in all the borders, let's say, is under invasion. So what we are talking about, why would the Kremlin needed additional reasons to deploy whatever means to the battlefield, whatever means are necessary? Exactly opposite is happening, by the way. Many people here in Russia also are asking questions why Moscow is not using all means necessary, including nuclear weapons, to neutralize its enemies. And well, I have no answer on that. I just can share with you my take on situation. I think Putin is trying as much as he can not to use extreme force, and he was asked, by the way, several times since the beginning of special military operation about possibility that Russia will deploy nuclear weapons, and he was always hesitant to take this topic positively. He was always opposing deployment of extreme force to the battlefield. But if you remember, I was saying for a very, very long time that at some point, due to constant escalation from the Western ruling class, at some point Moscow may find itself in a situation when they will see no any other option but to deploy extreme force. And I'm afraid Moscow is already in that situation, or extremely close to that point. Yet again, due to constant escalation from the Western ruling class and their proxies, including Kyiv regime. And dear friends, you might ask, why would the Western ruling class push Russia towards this corner when Russia will start using nuclear weapons? Well, there might be several answers on that. First of all, of course, Western ruling class will use this to demonize Russia even further, or at least to try, but it would not work. It would not work because the rest of the world sees everything perfectly well and knows perfectly well that Russian leadership, Russian President Vladimir Putin, tried as much as he can, and continues, by the way, to maintain this position, not to deploy extreme force until it's absolutely necessary. So rest of the world sees this, so I don't think Western ruling class will be able to demonize Russia in eyes of world community, even if we will see extreme escalation on the battlefield. And the second reason why Western ruling class may want to push Russia towards that corner is that they are looking for off-ramp, by the way. They are looking for off-ramp. They are desperate. They know they lost this conflict, and they are looking for off-ramp, and such a one that will allow them to save the face, at least somewhat. And if Russia will deploy nukes, Western ruling class might come out and say that, you know what, I mean, this escalation reached certain levels, and we have to be now responsible, and we have to de-escalate because we don't want World War III to start. You see what I mean? So they might use this as a escalation from Russian side as a possibility for themselves to start de-escalating, and same time kind of save the face that, you know, they are so responsible that they just don't want a third world war to start, and that's why they're de-escalating. That's what may be in their thinking process in the collective in the leadership of collective West or Western ruling class. But anyways, dear friends, of course, not me and none of us, I guess, from our community, nobody in this planet, with the exception of very few people, knows what and how Moscow will do in response to this extreme level of escalation from the collective West. So, I mean, only time will tell. Let me continue now. And RIA Novosti is reporting that yesterday Russian air defense systems intercepted 12 US-made ATACMS long-range missiles that were targeting Crimean Bridge. No reports about any damage to the bridge itself, although this large-scale missile attack that was thwarted, basically all missiles were destroyed. Of course, enough reason, emergency situation to be declared in the Kerch city, and that's exactly what has happened. And of course, Russian I believe Russian air defense systems are all along the front lines in Crimea, just about everywhere on high alert, because we all understand the Western ruling class, Kiev regime, are desperate. They are in desperate situation, and they are capable of any provocation. They are capable of any provocation, and of course, all the Russian forces, not just air defense systems, but all Russian security forces have to be on high alert. TASS news agency is also reporting that, well, yesterday Russian armed forces went on the hunt for air defense systems of the Kiev regime, and plenty of videos are circulating on internet with destruction of at least two air defense systems, two Patriot air defense systems of the Kiev regime, and also one Iris-T, a German-made Iris-T air defense systems. Overall, Kiev regime lost at least 4 to 5 launchers for the Patriot air defense systems, and also radar of their Patriot air defense system, and Iris-T was destroyed also. Videos, by the way, are on my Telegram channels, and you can see it if you have not already. Also, by the way, Russian armed forces yesterday conducted long-range precise strike on one of their Kiev regime's airfields in the Dnipropetrovsk region, and during that strike, MiG-29, Kiev regime's MiG-29 was destroyed. This is the video, by the way. As you can see, plane being prepared for sortie to be conducted, and Russian precise strike, and it's destroyed. Many sources made a mistake in identification of this plane, and there are many Telegram channels, many media outlets in Russia, and I guess worldwide, designated this plane as Su-24, but in reality this is a MiG-29, by the way. I mean, you can see clearly it has two tail fins, and that's MiG-29 for sure. Su-27 is just a larger plane than one that we can see on this video. Su-24 has one tail fin, and well, even Kiev regime acknowledged that it was MiG-29. So Kiev regime lost one of the last, at this point, I guess, MiG-29s that it has or had. Also, by the way, Russian armed forces established full control over the Sergeyevka settlement, according to Russian Defense Ministry, and as we all know, Defense Ministry of Russia is extremely conservative institution, and quite often confirms information that we already know after several days, sometimes even a week. And well, this is Sergeyevka, by the way. This is Sergeyevka, that Russian Ministry of Defense is confirming that to be under Russian control. I reported about Sergeyevka being liberated a couple of days ago now, and at this point, as you can see on the map, Russian troops are much on the positions much west from the Sergeyevka, and are already in control of Orlovka and Zhuravka, sorry, these settlements. And if you take a look, by the way, forward units of Russian troops are getting closer and closer to Pokrovsk, and of course Pokrovsk is one of the main directions of the Russian offensive, local scale offensive operations in DPR. But also, of course, nowadays New York Toretsk is also in headlines constantly, and well, New York is under full Russian control. I guess it's a matter of a day or two, and Russian Defense Ministry will confirm that New York is under Russian control. Russian troops are now advancing towards Nilepovka settlement. There might be small groups of Kiev regime's forces that are trapped somewhere in the vicinity of New York, but in general, this town is under full Russian control now, and the next big hotspot on the map, of course, will be, and it is already, Toretsk city. So despite attempts of Western ruling class and their proxy Kiev regime to divert Russian attention from line of contact in DPR towards, or any other sector, by the way, towards Kursk region, they failed. The Russian troops even intensify offensive operations, even intensify pressure on Kiev regime defense lines on the line of contact. And in the Kursk region, by the way, situation is under operational control of Russian troops. And as it was expected, and as I said from very beginning, Russian troops are beginning gradually to neutralize incursion forces, invading forces of the Kiev regime, NATO, and foreign mercenaries. Let's continue now. And well, as I said, Sergeyevka, liberation of Sergeyevka is confirmed by Defense Ministry. RT is also, sorry, RIA Novosti is also reporting that more than 20 Ukrainian military personnel surrendered in the Kursk region. And yes, it is correct, by the way. I shared video this morning on my Telegram channel. This is the video, by the way. As you can see, entire platoon of Kiev regime surrendered to the Russian forces. Am I surprised? Not at all. It was me, isn't it, when that said a couple of days ago that I expect entire units of Kiev regime to surrender, and well, there we go. So let's continue. Well, TASS news agency is reporting that Kiev regime forces destroyed the bridge in Glushkovka region of the Kursk region, and Glushkovka area of the Kursk region. And this information is of course important because it highlights that this invading force of Kiev regime and NATO ran out of steam, and they're no longer planning to further advance. They're trying now to dig in as much as they can to maintain positions in the Kursk region as long as they can, and therefore they're destroying bridges along the rivers in their area to slow down Russian offensive operations, Russian clearing operations of the regions from the terrorists. And well, I shared on my Telegram photos of that destroyed bridge, and Kiev regime is trying to destroy other bridges also, whatever bridges they can reach with their long-range weapon systems. They are trying to destroy because they cannot further advance. They run out of steam. And a few days ago there was reports that already 2 brigades of the Kiev regime were decimated and are no longer battle capable. And I guess at this point at least another 1 or 2 brigades probably are in the very same situation. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian miners are using military equipment for long-range mining, and they're basically trying to cut off invading force from supply and support lines that Kiev regime still has. Well, understandable move, obviously logical move, and by mining rear of the invading force, of course, Russian side cutting off units of the Kiev regime in the Kursk region from they are cutting them off from opportunity to retreat, which means that most likely more and more units, by the way, of Kiev regime will surrender in upcoming days. I expect a number of POWs in Kursk region to reach from several hundred to 1,000, maybe more, because I guess at this point all of them that invaded Kursk region are realizing that they are finished. They've been used for media operation of the Kiev regime and their NATO, and they just been sacrificed for this mid-year op. That's all. And whatever they will have opportunity to surrender in a secure manner, safe manner, they will probably try to do so. Maybe with the exception of neo-Nazi formations, because I don't think Russian side will be very keen to take a prisoner neo-Nazis. Probably they will refuse them such opportunity and will neutralize on the battle. But units that are from not neo-Nazi formations, those units probably will have opportunity to surrender, like this one that surrendered to the Russian side. This happened, by the way, in Kamarovka settlement, Kamarovka area of the Kursk region, and to communicate with the Russian forces, Ukrainian personnel, military personnel, was using Telegram channel. So they contacted one of the Telegram channels and arranged safe surrender. And we will see more and more such footage, by the way, in upcoming days, for sure. Let's continue with some more news. Well, the Russian Defense Ministry updated information about situation in this Kursk salient that is temporarily controlled by Kyiv regime, and according to Russian militaries, Kyiv regime in this direction in the Kursk region already lost more than 2,800 military personnel, 41 tank, 40 armored personnel carrier, 23 infantry fighting vehicle, 213 other types of armored vehicles, carriers basically like Max Pro, for example, 102 motocars, 4 air defense systems, 6 MLRS systems, multi-launch rocket systems, including 3 HIMARS MLRS systems, 2 automatic loading systems that are used to load these MLRS systems, 22 field artillery systems, and much more other types of equipment. I think Russian Defense Ministry is quite conservative in this estimations. In my personal opinion, Kyiv regime already lost at least 4,000 to 5,000 military personnel in the Kursk region, and I'm 100% convinced, by the way, once the entire area will be cleared from invading force, we will have updated information, and we will realize that real number of casualties on Kyiv regime side was twice more at least than Russian Defense Ministry was estimating. Anyways, RIA Novosti is reporting that Russia's foreign ministry confirmed that Kyiv regime first time used Western long-range weapon systems to conduct strikes in the Kursk region. According to foreign ministry, HIMARS MLRS system was used to conduct strikes in a region, in the Kursk region, which is correct, by the way. At this point, HIMARS, Defense Ministry is confirming at least 3 HIMARS systems were destroyed, and of course all of them were participating in shellings, in the bombing of Kursk region. So hard to argue with the foreign ministry of the Russian Federation. Question is, yet again, what is going to be Moscow's response? Because we all remember, isn't it, that there was strong warnings from Moscow when US ambassador, French and British ambassadors were summoned. There were strong warnings that retaliatory measures will be taken inside and outside of Ukraine against assets of these hostile states if their long-range weapon systems will be used to strike deep inside Russian territory. And I guess one might expect now these retaliatory strikes. I don't know. TASS news agency is reporting that the ambassador of Italy was summoned by Russian foreign ministry because a journalist of Italian RAI teleradio company crossed the border with the Kursk region crossed the Russian border and entered the Kursk region with Ukrainian terrorists, and therefore, of course, the journalist or propagandist of the RAI teleradio company breached the Russian law, and I would not be surprised at all if Russian security services will open the case, a criminal case against that particular journalist and his crew, his or her. I don't even know name of this individual. I am not really interested in propaganda of their Italian teleradio companies or any other Western so-called media outlets. But I see yesterday on one of the Telegram channels short episode of CNN's reporter, and on that video it is clear that CNN's so-called journalist also crossed the border and entered Russian territory. I mean, signs were in Russian, and therefore I expect similar steps to be taken by foreign ministry and also law enforcement agencies against the crew of CNN that illegally crossed the Russian territory. We will find out. Also, by the way, if you wonder what level of support Russian President Vladimir Putin has currently now, after Kiev regime's incursion or Kiev regime's invasion of the Kursk region of the Russian Federation, Vtsiom, Russian institution, basically. Vtsiom is, I believe, declared as a foreign agent. So if that's the case, then this is an organization that is funded from outside. Or no, sorry. It's Levada Center that was declared as a foreign agent. Vtsiom, probably not. In any case, this institution, Vtsiom, conducted their social study, and according to its data, some 80% of Russian citizens have a trust in a Russian leader. So trust level to Putin is about 80%, 80.8%, by the way. And their studies was conducted from 5th to 11th of August. So this Kursk invasion was already on the way. And well, that's the numbers, by the way. Take it as you wish, with pinch of salt or without it, but me personally, I don't really doubt these numbers. Putin stably, I mean, Putin almost always has a trust rate about 70-80%, just always, man. It is what it is, man. You may like it or not, but it is the case. I live in Russia, and I personally don't know anybody, literally. I don't know anybody that is actively critical of Putin. That's because of this proxy war against Russia, by the way. Some people were critical of Putin. They were voting for other political parties, other leaders, but because of this pressure that West is putting on Russia right now, those people are no longer critical. That's why I'm saying, by the way, society is getting more and more united under pressure, and this is the case not just in Russia, but I guess this is universal case when society is under attack, getting more united. So yes, this is numbers, by the way. I was myself wondering what influence this Kursk invasion had on Putin's rating, but as we can see, not much, really. 80% of trust is huge, man. Huge. And even if you take this information with pinch of salt, man, it's gonna be a huge number. Anyways, let's continue. And dear friends, let me remind you that this small media project of mine with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, and Telegram is completely subscriber funded. I don't have sponsors, as you can see. My channel is not monetized on YouTube. I don't do no advertising. Unfortunately, I would like to do advertising of some, I don't know, some business here in Russia that are interested in attention of their potential tourists, some restaurant or hotel or something. But unfortunately, I don't have advertising. And therefore, this project is completely subscriber funded, and I will be immensely grateful if you will consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal or Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. This is my Patreon page, by the way. I was hoping that we will reach 200 members. Our community will reach 200 on Patreon, but unfortunately, it seems impossible, unrealistic at this point. But at least we can try. I have plenty of extra content, by the way, on my Patreon and on regular basis. And from September, I plan to further increase volume of extra content on Patreon and also on Boosty. I will have updates almost on daily basis, and not updates, by the way. It's gonna be news and entertaining content. And I will have at least one extra content a day, and most likely quite often 2 or 3. So it's gonna be really diverse and interesting. I hope it is interesting now also. I mean, members of our community find it interesting. It's gonna get even better. So yes, if you can, please consider to support by subscribing to my Patreon. Also, monthly subscription starts from $5, and then you can choose your level of support, 5, 10, 20, 50, or 100. It's up to you, of course. So yes, all the links, by the way, to my PayPal, Boosty, Patreon under this video in description box and in the pinned comment. This is how Boosty channel looks, Boosty page. So yes, that's been said, let's continue with some other news now. And RT is reporting that Israel expects US and their other allies to help bomb Iran. Well, if you were hoping for the escalation in the Middle East, well, that's the information that media is reporting. Israel's foreign minister, Israel Katz, has said his country expects not only the United States but also its allies, including Britain and France, to assist in offensive operations against Iran in the event of direct conflict. Katz made their comments during the meeting with the British Foreign Secretary David Lammy and French Foreign Minister Stéphane Sajorme in Jerusalem on Friday, according to Hebrew language statement from his office. Israel, and then quoted, Israel expects France and Britain to publicly clarify to Iran that it is unacceptable for it to attack Israel, and that if Iran attacks, the US-led coalition will join Israel not only to defense but also in an attack against significant targets in Iran. The statement said, as cited by the Times of Israel. Katz reiterated in a post on X, formerly Twitter, that he made it clear to his colleagues that they should publicly declare that their countries will stand with Israel not only in defense but also in striking targets in Iran. I mean, members of our community from US, France, and UK, I hope members of our community from these countries will share their opinion Are they okay if for their countries to get involved in a war with Iran now? Why should the US, British and French citizens risk their lives for Israel? I mean, what the hell is going on here, really? Especially because Israel is acting absolutely responsibly. Israeli leadership is acting absolutely responsibly and conducting terrorist attacks and assassinations all around the world, including in Lebanon, including in Iran. Just recently, Hamas leader, top negotiation from Hamas, by the way, was assassinated in Tehran, and the world is expecting now Iran's retaliation. And I mean, Israeli leadership is acting like they can do whatever they want. They can kill anybody they want anywhere on this planet, and no one should even dare to think about retaliating. I don't think it works that way. You conduct terrorist attack, you conduct assassination on a territory of other country. That country has every right to retaliate. Every right to retaliate. And I don't think France or UK or US should get involved in this matter. I truly don't think so, because it's not their war, right? Same time, I was saying from very beginning of this new level of escalation between Israel and Iran, or Israel and Hezbollah, that most likely friends of Iran will try to, will be very active diplomatically in their communication with Iran, and probably will ask Tehran to respond with restraint to Israel's terrorist attack on Iran, not to give her additional opportunities to irresponsible Israeli government and Western ruling class to provoke a regional war in the Middle East. And maybe that's exactly what happened, because at least for now we did not see any retaliatory strikes from Iran or Hezbollah against Israel. And I mean, I still hope situation will de-escalate, but unfortunately we don't really have much reasons for optimism in this regards. And if I may, I will just remind you my take on the Middle Eastern situation. In my opinion, Western ruling class is determined to provoke a regional war in the Middle East, because they want, especially with the involvement of Iran, because they want shipping to be cut, distract in the Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait. And by doing so, Western ruling class wants to cut off China basically from Middle Eastern energy sources. That's what is happening, and that's why Western ruling class is so keen to provoke regional war in the Middle East, and they are clearly using Netanyahu's regime as their tool to provoke this regional war. So therefore, obviously, Iran's political class have to be like several steps ahead of this geopolitical game of the Western ruling class and take in account all the risks. And that's why I was saying, by the way, that it's definitely not in Iran's best interests and not in best interests of their friendly nations to Iran or to this world regional war to get started in the Middle East. And therefore I was saying that most likely these friendly nations, Russia, China, India, or others, will try to communicate with Tehran to respond with restraint, and I guess it worked. I guess exactly this has happened, and it worked, because we did not see any retaliatory strike at all from Iran, or from Hezbollah, by the way, for that matter, on a larger scale. So... But anyways, by the way, I mean, this arrogance of the Israeli leadership is, of course, off the charts, man. They are demanding from US, France, and UK, and I guess from everybody to fight and die for Israel. I mean, what for, man? Why should I care about Israel, man? I mean, why? Why any citizen of France should care about any other country but France, or why any citizen of UK should care about any other country than UK, man. What the hell is going on? But you know, I guess the leadership of Israel truly thinks that they are some sort of, I mean, chosen ones, and everybody have to die for them, and that kind of nonsense. But sick individuals, man, absolutely sick individuals, mass murderers and the terrorists. That's what Netanyahu and his criminal associates are, man. And they should, I hope they will pay heavy price for all the crimes that they committed against humanity, by the way. RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, Trump made quite interesting statement, by the way. Where is that news? That's it, yes. This is the statement, by the way. I have two news about Trump, so I will start with this one. That Trump vows to play nice with Iran. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some... possibly some advisors told Trump that it is not really good look when he's talking about like crazy about Iran and all that, you know, aggressive statements. It definitely don't makes him look any stronger. It makes him look as a puppet of neocons. So therefore, seems like Trump is trying to change the tune a little bit, not to be seen as a puppet of neocons. So US Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has said he hopes Washington will be friendly with Tehran if he returns to White House. Well, good statement. In this part, statement is good, and that's the take that he should have from the very beginning. But unfortunately, he already made a few statements with the threats, direct threats towards Iran, man, which is definitely no good. You are not even president yet, and you are threatening sovereign state, and you are threatening entire region with a war. What the hell? He made remarks on Thursday while speaking at the press conference in New Jersey about his plans to restore world peace. And then, quote, "I'm not looking to be bad to Iran. We are going to be friendly. I hope, maybe, but maybe not." Trump being Trump, man. Trump said after accusing Tehran of funding the Palestinian militant group Hamas, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. He also stated, well, Iran don't have nuclear weapons, and Iran don't intend to have nuclear weapons. They don't need nuclear weapons, for God's sake. And all this narrative is a false narrative that was created by neocons, by these mass murderers in Israeli leadership and neocons in US to create a foundation for escalation with Iran and to provoke regional war. Iran has no intention to build the nuclear weapons, and not because US is against it or Israel. Iran most likely does not give a damn about Israel and US. But Iran don't want to have nuclear weapons, because in that case, other regional countries will also start operating on, working on their military nuclear programs. And it will definitely not make Iran any safer or regionally any safer. And Iran's leadership, I guess, already proved, by the way, many times in past decades and decades, that they are very pragmatic. They are very pragmatic. Right? So, I mean, these talking points of the neocons, I mean, Trump should not use this nonsense talking points, but yet again, at least he is now saying that, well, he don't want to escalate with Iran. Okay, good start, but yet again, man, if you want to be seen in the world as a peacemaker, stop threatening countries left and right, man, because you are not looking strong in that case. You are looking weak, and you are looking as a puppet of neocons. So maybe Trump has some proper advisors this time that are, you know, influencing his rhetoric at least a little bit. I mean, it's a first steps, but who knows? Maybe eventually his rhetoric will become more understandable for the rest of the world and a little bit more acceptable. And also interesting news, by the way, that Trump is leading, according to polls, leading Harris in support if elections took place. Now he would win. This was reported by Rasmussen Reports company, sociological company, or company that conducts these studies. But yet again, by the way, one day we are receiving information that Harris is leading, another day we are receiving information that Trump is leading. It's a kind of media war between the two camps, and the war, also civil war inside the US political elites, because Trump definitely has the support of significant forces from the deep state. Trump definitely has significant support from the Western ruling class that stays in shadows always. Otherwise, he will never ever be able to pull off first turn of presidency and the second one. I mean, he's getting to the second one closer and closer now. So he has certain support, and definitely significant part of the deep state, Western ruling class, multinational corporations, and so on, are in support of Harris. So it's a sort of civil war inside the US ruling elites, isn't it? Or Western ruling elites, because US is of course a main pool of enforcement in the hands of Western ruling class. We should always remember that US is a bet in the hands of Western ruling class, main enforcement. And in my personal opinion, it don't really matters who is the president of US, because true decision-making process is done behind the scenes by absolutely unelected figures that most likely we don't even know names of whom. But anyways, that's the reports that coming in, that Trump is leading in the polls. RT is reporting that FBI searches US home of Soviet-born Biden critic. FBI has executed a search warrant at the home of Russian-born US political pundit and author Dmitry Simes, who has been a vocal critic of the administration of the President Joe Biden. The search took place on Tuesday on their property located in Rappahannock County. According to local news outlet, their author's son, Dmitry Simes Jr., described it as a bandit-like intimidation attempt by the US government in a statement released on their X. And by the way, this person, I believe, is a founder of the National Interest think tank and also National Interest magazine, interesting magazine. And I'm familiar with this person. He's quite often makes some political comments. He's cooperating. He's quite often seen as a guester on Russian media outlets. On internet you can see quite a number of videos with him. He was at some point, I believe, a host of the program on one of the Russian TV channels even. He speaks good Russian. He is a Russian born, so I mean Soviet born, so he speaks Russian, obviously. And well, although he is a US citizen, by the way, and therefore he represents his position is based on best interests of US, understandably so. And I guess this incursion of the FBI into his house is continuation of this war on free speech that we are seeing in US, because just recently Scott Ritter was terrorized by FBI under Biden's administration. Now Dmitry Simes under pressure. I'm quite sure secret services of the US, FBI, police have been weaponized by Biden's terrorist regime to conduct surveillance on older public figures in US that are critical of the deep state, critical of military-industrial complex, critical of foreign policy, of the neocons, foreign policy agenda of the neocons, and so on, including Colonel McGregor, Tulsi Gabbard, Scott Ritter, obviously, Dmitry Sainz, and many others, by the way. Many others. I would not be surprised at all if even nominee, Biden, Trump's running mate, JD Sims, his name, is also under surveillance, because he several times made quite strong statements about US involvement in this proxy war against Russia. And that might be enough reason for neocons and military-industrial complex to put him in a blacklist. And all of them, by the way, everybody, journalists or political commentators, all of them are under pressure and surveillance in US. So whenever you hear from anybody in US government anything about free speech and freedom of expression, just remember what they do with the journalists, by the way. What they did to Julian Assange, for example. He is free now, thanks God, but they torture him for years and years, right? And remember what they are doing to Dmitry Simes, what they are doing to Scott Ritter, from all the other public figures and the journalists in US that are there to oppose this craziness of the US political class or deep state. Anyways, let's continue. Glad newspaper is reporting that ruling party in Georgia, Georgian Dream, made a statement that they will constitutionally ban propaganda, LGBTQ propaganda, if they will receive majority of the votes during the upcoming parliamentary elections that should take place in October, I believe, in Georgia. Well, statement that will definitely find big support in majority of the Georgian society. Of course, LGBTQ and the rest of the alphabet propaganda is banned in Russia, and for good. And Georgia definitely will be better off if they will take the similar step, undoubtedly. And well, I guess this statement will definitely bring quite a number of votes to Georgian Dream. And of course, banning the propaganda don't mean that there will be some steps taken against those people that are in this LGBTQ movement or whatever that is. But they would not be able to do some parades and to do some to influence to create their own programs on TV, for example, and propagandize this way of life that they have. So it's not about repression, it's about protection of the young and the protection of the public from propaganda. That's all really. And it will work perfectly well for society. I'm quite sure about it. In the Western world, if they want to think that there are 155 genders or 344, then they are free to think that way. Whatever. But let us maintain normality here, right? In the rest of the world, and let us welcome everything normal. without this all that craziness that is pushed over this public in the Western world, man. 155 genders, man. Of course. Holy moly, man. It's like a clown show, man. What the hell is going on? And RIA Novosti is reporting that well, this is going to be interesting news, by the way, for all the citizens of the other countries that are planning to visit Russia, because Russian Foreign Ministry is making some changes for visa, in terms of visa requirements, and from now on, once these decisions will be finally implemented, all the citizens of their other countries, I guess first of all citizens of the countries that are hostile towards Russia, will have to undergo interview with the representatives of their embassy or consulate before a final decision will be made to grant a visa or to not. And by doing so, according to Maria Zakharova, official representative of Russian Federation, Russian side will have a better understanding to whom Russia is giving visa, and how safe it is for Russia and Russian public visa to be given to this or that person. So by doing so, I guess Russian side don't want to allow entrance to Russia to the people that publicly demonstrate their Russophobia and anti-Russian stance. I guess it's Russia's right. So therefore I don't see a problem with this, but everybody who plans to visit Russia should be, should take in account that there might be interview also with the representative of their embassy or the consulate, in addition to all the paperwork that is necessary to acquire Russian visa. I'm not an expert in that field, so therefore I don't really know how you get Russian visa if you are living in I don't know, in Ireland, for example, or in Canada or US, or RT is reporting. Oh, your friends, that's it. Oh, one more news, by the way, some economical stuff. So Texas oil firm expanding presence in Russia, according to RT's report. So US oil field servicing giant SLB, formerly Schlumberger, is expanding in Russia, despite its main rivals having pulled out of their country following the start of the Ukraine conflict in 2022. The Financial Times has reported citing customs filings and their employment listings. Customs filings and employment listings. Oil servicing companies manufacture, repair, and maintain equipment used in the extraction and the transportation of crude. SLB has continued to provide equipment in Russia, as well as register new trademarks, sign new contracts, and seek new employees. The Financial Times wrote on Friday, and well, good for this company, by the way. Good for this company. I was always saying, isn't it, that despite the confrontation on the political level between the countries, ordinary people, businesses should definitely maintain contact as much as possible, because at some point in the future, I hope there will be a situation when relationships will start to improve, and there are more contacts, there are more lines of communication we will have, easier it will be, I guess, to rebuild everything that was destroyed by Western ruling class in terms of relationships between their countries, Russia and US, Russia and European states. And therefore, I mean, this is great news, man. This US company is making good buck, and it is beneficial for Russian oil companies also to cooperate with this business. Great. It's beneficial for both sides, and why not? Why not? So therefore, I like this type of news, by the way. It gives us a hope that not everything is lost, and at some point in the future, relationships between Russia and Western countries will become at least normal, maybe not reach strategical level, but at least relationships will be in a good working conditions. So okay, that will be good, man. And this is interesting. SLB imported 17.5 million worth of equipment into Russia between August and December 2023. Well, I mean, it's a good money, but nothing extraordinary. In 2023, Russian operators generated 5% of SLB's 33.1 billion in revenues. Well, that's a little bit bigger sum, 5% from 33 billion. That's significant. That's much more significant than 17 million. And I guess this year this company will make more money. Why not? Why not? Cooperation is beneficial for both sides, so both sides should make good money. Anyways, dear friends, this is it for now. Wow, quite long update, by the way. Quite long update, more than an hour, but hopefully you will find it interesting, informative, and useful. After all, it's Saturday, so you might pause at some point video, then continue to watch or listen. So hopefully you will find it informative and interesting, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything, any topic. This is the only way we can at least try to deal with the algorithm, and for very same reason, if you can please share information about my channel with your friends in real life or on internet, on the platforms that you are actively using. And as I already said, if you like my work, you can support her if you want to. All the links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day, and take care.